Oh baby, it's that time. 13 years in the making. Today, we're going to be talking about The Dark Knight on 4K Blu-ray. So what is up, everybody? I am Mason for the Mockbuster YouTube channel, and yes, this has been 13 years in the making. I have not seen this film in 13 years. Yeah, it's crazy to believe, because I own this, not only on DVD, not only on Blu-ray, but also now on 4K Blu-ray. You know, this was one of the movies that I saw, during my heyday of going to the theaters. From when I was like 2 years old, since I was a little toddler to about maybe 17, I would go to the movies like every other week, constantly watching movies. And I kind of, slowed that down to focus on music and stuff like that. But this was definitely the movie that stuck with me, and I am so excited. When I first upgraded to 4K, I immediately got the Dark Knight 4K set on 4K Blu-ray, and I was so excited. Like when I first got my huge OLED TV. If you see my old video, testing out my OLED or whatever, trying out my OLED for the first time. So when I first set up my OLED TV, that was the first thing I wanted to check out, was because of those IMAX scenes, and I was not disappointed. So I'm going to be talking about The Dark Knight on 4K Blu-ray. If you haven't seen my other review of the first 4K of the series, that was Batman Begins, I actually did not like the transfer. That transfer was actually a really bad transfer. It was very minimally, better than the Blu-ray, not even that much upgrading within the sharpness, just maybe, since it was made on film, it had a bit better of grain structure, but that was basically it. But oh boy, this movie, whew, this is a great looking movie. So I'm going to be talking about the tech specs first. It is a UHD 100 layer disc, so all of this data is being used to store properly. There's no bonus features on this disc, so nothing is compressed, and it is, the 4K is fully in its display. It is a native 2160p native 4K film. This is not an upscale. The aspect ratios are 240 by 1 and 178 by 1, so you are going to get those very, large black letterbox bars, like at least up to here and here. Like it takes up at least a third of the screen of just black bars. But the IMAX scenes take up that full array, and it's absolutely amazing. Audio formats, no 7.1 track. It is just an DTS HD master audio. This is a newer transfer. And so let's get into the image quality. Elephant in the room, yes, this has the IMAX. So does the original Blu-ray. Going back to the original Blu-ray, I was surprised to find that they didn't crop it down. It still had full IMAX scenes. But damn, dude, does the detail... Whoo-wee, bro, the detail shines so perfectly in those IMAX scenes, filling up your TV, especially my 65-inch OLED 4K TV. So to preface, I am using the LG OLED C1, which a lot of people say is like the best TV currently in the market. So that's where I'm basing my review off of. And yeah, I mean, those IMAX scenes look absolutely beautiful. That opening shot, oh Jesus, like... the detail, even like I first thought the initial scene with the bank robbing scene was its best, but no, when it gets to that truck scene when Harvey Dent like says, "Oh, I'm the Batman," and they escort him to a prison or whatever, that scene, and the Joker hijacks it, that scene looks absolutely amazing. Everything is full of detail. It's just so sharp, so detailed. Things like Joker's makeup, like those little ridges, lines, like the little wrinkles and stuff. It's just so much detail. I can't stop gushing over this. You probably already know about everything about this transfer, and it is definitely worth the hype. This is so good, the IMAX scenes. Now, the contrast between the IMAX scenes and when it goes to the normal, 2048 by whatever scenes, it's actually very striking. Like, I mean, it doesn't take away from that, from the transfer. It's just when you go from something so high def, so, crispy, so smooth, to something that's decent, that's pretty, it goes from, god tier to great. But there's still that, step down. And that kind of striked me initially when I first, picked up this transfer. It was how good the opening was, and then it just kind of like, which is not saying that it's a terrible transfer, when it's not IMAX. It's just, it's such a contrast in between each other. It actually kind of took me out. But there is still definitely detail to be seen in those scenes. Obviously, the biggest thing to know is when Joker's, the close-ups are very good. Blemishes, wrinkles, strokes of like makeup from his things. All those things are very good. But again, there's shots on IMAX, 35, and anamorphic. The anamorphic transfer, it looks okay, but it doesn't really live up to the other shots. So there will be shots that are filmed with an anamorphic camera and anamorphic lens that do look a bit distorted, that take away from, it's like you're gonna be like, wow, in one scene, and then you're gonna be like, ooh, what's going on here? But yeah, so that's basically the image quality. It's great. It's sharp. It's, it's everything you've heard for the past other reviewers. It is definitely a great image looking, so many different examples. I can't even go I want to go through the entire movie and just, tell you all the scenes that look amazing, but I'll be here forever. But yeah, so next is actually the HDR, and this is where it holds up a lot. There is decent black levels, because it's weird. It goes from, very inky black to sort of gray. I noticed especially in the IMAX scenes, when it's in full screen, there is certain shots like that Joker scene when they try to hijack the bus. There is certain interior scenes that look gray instead of black. But when it is black, it's not really crushing. When the black levels are not very crushing, details are still very clear in dark scenes. Like, the biggest thing for me was, again, with the Joker's eye makeup and Batman's eye makeup. You're able to see, like, oil or like the wrinkles or the folds within the eyes when it's completely black. And that was really, really good. Things, especially when, Batman's suit within the darkness, you can still, pick out the individual things. When he upgrades his suit, you can see just everything, and that's very important because when it is such a dark movie, you want to be able to notice these details and not just look you want to be able to notice details instead of just having a dark past where you can barely see anything. Like, because I grew up during that time, watching tube TVs. If it's a dark scene, you're not gonna be able to see shit. Like watching Walking Dead in 2010 with a shitty little tube TV, it was terrible because there were so many dark scenes and I couldn't even see anything. But thankfully, with the modern day technology, that is, not a thing anymore. With HDR, with, all these different, things, to additives towards, modern day transfers, you're able to see every little detail that the director intended with the cinematographer shot. You're able to see all that stuff. This is actually one of the first movies to where they live up to HDR for more lifelike. What is the slogan? For deeper, brighter, more lifelike colors. This is finally, a transfer that lives up to that slogan. It's just, there are very vibrant colors without being over contrasted. Like, faces are full of life. You'll be able to see redness tones. It's not a cold, I was kind of scared because some scenes were really cold, but then they'd go to another scene where it's full of, colors and full of warmth. So I think that was just the director's intention. But yeah, things like, if there's a scene where they're like in the nightclub where things are blue, you're still able to, make out, like, it's not just just a sheen of blue. You're going to see blue hitting their face, but you're still going to make up that, hey, this person has muscles and blood behind their face. So you're going to still be able to see the redness in their face within that blue, which is absolutely amazing, which I always love. Reds, blues, and yellows are what really highlight this movie. Just every color in general looks just so great. And explosions especially. oh Lord, like, because a lot of this is practical. That's what I wanted to, make, shed light, because this is a Christopher Nolan film. Everything is shot practically, so that's why it is native 4K, and everything just looks so good. It's because, they're not, behind this wall of, oh, it's CG, so we have to make it 2K, and we're not going to be able to, have a really accurate colorscape, or, just sharpness, or anything, just everything in general. For this being made on film, with the modern day technology, with having actual live people instead of just having CG backgrounds and stuff, it looks great. And what I also wanted to say was the grain structure, because I know a lot of people are kind of iffy on, like, oh, movies made on film, isn't it gonna be grainy? Not really. The only time I noticed grain was when they're in that bunker, in Bruce Wayne's bunker, and there's those lights on the sky, like on the ceiling. Those look a bit grainy because of how contrasted the white is. I'm guessing that's just normal film stuff. But I mean, hey, if you're a grain hater, you're not gonna even notice. Like, I barely even noticed any grain. It's still there, just a little bit, but it's kind of like a matte painting, where it's kind of that artistic flair, but it's not like it where it's like, oh, this is the limitations of the format. No, it's more like of a artistic style, and it doesn't really get in the way. You're still gonna get a very clean, very sharp image. And, no DNR, no nothing like that. And it still looks clean, sharp, and, clear. You're still going to get that crispy 4K goodness. So next, we're going to get into the audio. And this is where I believe that this, just takes the cake. This is the best category in this review. It is a great audio track for being 5.1. It's just that you gotta watch that first initial scene in the Dark Knight where Joker robs a bank. It's just 4K goodness, HDR goodness, and audio goodness all packed into one freaking scene, one like 10-minute scene. When shotguns are getting shot, it's very deep, bassy. You're gonna hear what's crazy is he like loads the gun. You hear the casing fly away, hit the ground, and then you're gonna hear him stepping on glass. It's just the detail in the audio is so good. I mean, oh my god, I'm like, it's such an audio visual experience that this needs to be seen. If you are a 4K, if you have a 4K setup and you haven't gotten this movie yet, you need to get this. You can skip Batman Begins. That's only for fans only. You can watch this movie without even watching the first movie, honestly, and it'll do you justice, because it's a great movie by itself, and it's just a great video audio experience. And yeah, so this audio is full of detail. It is a surround sound. It's not mono, so you're gonna get so much detail hovering from all the different channels. If you have a big setup, things are. It's definitely also gonna work out your subwoofer. Things like punches, gunshots, and explosions, are very rich and deep in bass. It will wake up your neighbors, so make sure you're watching this at a reasonable time. And honestly, this is my closest experience to like the at-home IMAX experience sound-wise. Like, I watched The Batman in IMAX, and that was a great audio experience. This is damn near very close. It has everything you want. It oozes theatricality. There is so much like audio. If you're an audio head and audiophile like myself, you're gonna love this transfer. Could it have done with a 7.1 track? Yes. Do I feel like I'm losing out on things? No, not really, because it's hitting every single bell. It's just the best audio that I've ever heard from a 4K Blu-ray. So yeah, that was it. To rank them, the image quality is a 9.5 out of 10. What's stopping it from being a 10 out of 10 is certain scenes that are soft, not the entire movie. That's why it's a 9.5, okay? It's damn near a 10 out of 10, more closer to 10 than it is to 9. Certain anamorphic scenes aren't very sharp. There were certain scenes, there was like one scene in particular that wasn't very sharp and it was quite blurry. There were at least 2, I think, IMAX scenes. Those like panning shots, those widescreen panning shots of like cities and buildings and stuff. I think when they go to Hong Kong at night, that was very soft. So, that's not the fault of the transfer. It's more of the actual subject material. Next is the HDR, and that is a 9.5 out of 10. Again, it has some very decent blacks. it's inky black at some parts, but it is also, gray in other parts. That's what's stopping it from being a 10. But you're not going to lose any detail. Colors are very lifelike, deeper, richer, and more lifelike. And, everything just looks amazing and rich. Audio is a 10 out of 10. I was tempted to give it a 9.5 because it's not a 7.1 track, but when I was thinking about, did I really miss out on things? Did I really feel like I was missing out on, like, oh, would there be a better experience? No, I feel like this is the best way, and it doesn't give me that feeling of wanting more, like the image does. And the image is still great. It's just the way it contrasted in between IMAX scenes and normal scenes were very, very striking. So that kind of took me out. But yeah, so out of all of that, my final verdict is that this is a must own. If you have a 4K setup, you need to own The Dark Knight on 4K Blu-ray. Is this worth the hype? I think it is. It is a bit, it is still demo quality in certain scenes, but the entire movie as a whole, it has a bit of, trials and tribulations in between, but as a experience within the movie itself, it was great. It looked great. It sounded great. Absolutely amazing. And there's also a bunch of supplements within this 4K. You get 3 discs in there, and they're stacked, which I don't like. But you get 3 discs in there. You get a separate like special features disc, which is also comparative to the Blu-ray. This comes with a bunch of discs as well. And the main question is this worth the Blu-ray upgrade? If you have this, you can get this at any like flea market or thrift store for very, very cheap. And yes, this is 100, 1,000, a million, a trillion, a billion, a trillion% worth the upgrade. Like, although this does have IMAX scenes, it's not even comparably to the sharpness of the IMAX, of the sharpness on the 4K, as well as this having a newer audio track too. This has a lot of upgrades from this 4K. It's not just like, oh, they took the same transfer and they upgraded to a higher storage disc. No, this is a 4K transfer that looks absolutely beautiful and amazing. That definitely trumps this Blu-ray. I've watched a lot of Blu-rays that look really good. Things like Skyfall, the Blu-ray itself looks absolutely beautiful. So when comparing it to the 4K, it's not really that much of an upgrade. But this movie is definitely an upgrade and is a must own if you do not have it already. I would say get the set, but that's because I am a Batman fan. Batman Begins was one of the first movies I ever saw as a kid, so that's why I bought the entire set. But if you don't like Batman in general, I would highly suggest you guys pick up Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. I'm going to be talking about Dark Knight Rises next, and I'm so hyped because I think the whole movie is filmed in IMAX, so I am so excited for that. That was my least rewatched movie, and I was kind of disappointed in Dark Knight Rises, the story-wise, but I'm hoping this 4K looks good. So yeah, that was basically my review. That was my opinion. Again, I am watching these on a 4K OLED, the C1 LG 65-inch, and my audio is the Sony headphones. I don't have them on me right now, but the WH whatever 1000X something. So pretty good studio headphones. And so those are my opinions. I think it's a must-own. I think it's a great movie. Demo-worthy, definitely. But is it the greatest, most best 4K experience? No, I have definitely experienced better 4K Blu-rays. But those IMAX scenes are what take the cake. Let me know down below. Do you guys have the Dark Knight movies on 4K? Let me know down below your opinions on your screen because, some screens, it may look different. It may look better. It may look worse. That has been it. I am Mace from the Mockbuster YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching the Remind. Please, 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 if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe. If you enjoy physical media hunting, hauls, pickups, shopping, hunting vlogs, reviews, all that kind of stuff. And thank you so much for watching the video. I'm Mace from the Mockbuster YouTube channel. Please have yourself a good day, night, evening, afternoon, morning. Whenever you're watching this, please stay safe and God bless. Cheers, guys. And long live physical media.